Ben Saltzman, and this is Kerena Saltzman, my wife, and we are on vacation in Manchester, Massachusetts, and this is a Salties episode, an episode of the two of us talking about our relationship and your relationships to each other, and how do we do this conscious relationship better? Because it can be hard. It can be difficult to do relationship well. And we like to tell stories about all the craziness that kind of unfolds in our family as part of the juice for the teaching and the learning and the revealing. So let's jump in. Anything you want to say to set it up before we start?
No, go ahead.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead and dive.
So we have an 8-year-old daughter, Jordan Annabelle Saltzman, who is an Enneagram type 4, and she has a lot of feelings and a lot of emotions. And as a 7 who has worked very hard to find my own emotions, I value them highly, and I value Kerena's expression of her Enneagram type 8 emotions. So sometimes in our family, a lot of emotion happens. Well,
I would say that we have a lot of strong-willed people.
Yeah. What do you mean strong-willed?
We all have a particular kind of stance sometimes about what we want and how it should be and how we want it. And yours differs from mine, differs from Jordan's. And,
yeah.
And
so
there's not one of us that's like, okay, whatever.
Right. Typically. Yeah. We're not go along to get along on a regular basis, although we get there sometimes.
Yeah, we do.
So yesterday we're transitioning from one house to another, and we've got to return the car by 1 o'clock. Kerena's called the car place up to negotiate that. We've got to move all of our stuff from one house to the other, so there's a bit of a time crunch going on. And in the whole mix, I'm really wanting Jordan to participate, to be part of the moving and the shuffling and all of this.
And she's whining and complaining and kind of, but not also, she's like, oh, I don't feel good, anyhow.
Yeah, and so I put up, we have big suitcases that she can't carry, so I put a bunch of other stuff down out of the car on the side, and I start taking the suitcases up, and I tell her, Jordan, you get to take those up. I don't want to. And I'm like, okay, but you're part of a family here. And so she goes and takes, and then Kerena goes and gets a couple, and I'm like, Kerena, let Jordan do this. I want her to participate in this. So we get through that, and then we're doing the refrigerator, and Kerena's going in to get the refrigerator, and there's another refrigerator, and I'm going in there, and I give Jordan a bag, and Jordan, you get to put the stuff from the refrigerator into that didn't work. Put the stuff from the refrigerator into the bag, and she says yes, and then I come back in, and Kerena's taking the job over, and I'm just, Kerena, every time I'm setting something up for Jordan to do it, you're stepping in and doing it. And I'm pissed that I've gone out of my way twice to do this, and Kerena's taking the things over.
And I'm viewing this as, we have a very short period of time. She's not in a good state of mind. I'm just going to take over and do it so that we get to the car place on time where I told them we would. I'm like.
Right, she's on a time schedule.
Yeah.
And I'm a little bit like, we get to the car place late, they're not going to charge us. We're 5 minutes late, 10 minutes late.
They'll charge us.
She's like, I'm a 7, I'm going to talk my way out of this. We're going to get what we.
But I had spent 5 minutes on the phone negotiating that extra 45 minutes.
Right,
push
to turn the car in late.
So we all have our things. She's in a bad mood. He's wanting her to help. And I'm just wanting to get through it. I'm just blah, 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 blah. Right. So we're in the car.
And it gets exaggerated. And Jordan is now crying because I tell her one thing, she's telling her another thing. And I'm obviously mad at Kerena. And Jordan feels caught in the middle. And one parent is telling me one thing and another parent is telling me another thing.
And I somehow say, I was like, are you mad? And you're like,
this is a couple minutes.
yes, we're in the car.
Yeah.
And
Later.
I said, Jordan, are you mad? Yes, I'm really mad.
And I'm mad. She asked me, am I mad?
And I was like, well, I'm not very mad right now. And Ben says, yeah, that's because you're getting your way.
Yeah, you're getting everything that you want. You're just doing what you want, and we're pissed off.
Which was partly true.
Yeah. And then...
But I think it does bring awareness to, and I think this is a lot of co-parenting, right?
Yeah.
Is how are we supporting? So how could I have supported you better in getting her engaged rather than undermined it because of my time thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Versus like, okay, this is important to you. Oh well, if we're late, I'll let go of that in service of you and she getting to do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Right. So we talk a little bit, and then I don't know, maybe like 20 minutes later, Kerena checks in again. Are you mad? And
Are you still mad?
Are you still mad? And I'm like, no, I'm not mad anymore. Jordan, no, I'm not mad.
No, actually something else.
What?
Wasn't it? You were like, if you tell me.
And that was a different
Oh, that was
time.
a different argument.
But this was another piece of it. She asked another question about how to repair it or what do we want to, how to be different. And I was like, well, if you tell me next time I try to set something up for Jordan to help us, that you'll go with it instead of undermining it, that will help. And she was not an immediate yes to this. What did you say?
Nothing. Because you said, well, what's going on? I said, I'm thinking about whether or not I can truly say that.
Right.
I have to like run it through my system to go, can I truly say that if you put something in place, I can be of support? I just don't want to yes it, right? Because it's like, the chances of me doing it are very slim. But if I actually feel like I can do it and I get on board with it and I get the importance of it for you, then it's like, okay, so I think I sat with it for, I don't know, I was sitting with it for 10 or 20 minutes or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I came back and I said, yes, I can do that.
Yeah.
Next time you put something in place.
For Jordan to support, to help us, to actively help us.
Yeah, that I can support you in that.
Yeah. And that was good. But I was like, wow, you take you 20 minutes to make that agreement? But, you know, whatever. We're all doing our own thing at our own pace here. And so just some of the pieces of this story that I want to emphasize and what are the principles underneath is Kerena not making an agreement until she checks in with her whole system. Like you saw her go, I had to feel this, right? So you're really taking care of her own, like, can I really make this agreement? And go, because this is a big, in conscious relationships that we're in and that we're encouraging you to be in, making agreements is a big deal. Making agreements that you can abide by, that you can collaborate with, that you can say yes to is huge.
And then keeping it.
And then keeping it, yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're not keeping it, owning, I'm breaking this agreement, or I broke this agreement that we had, and then dealing with, well, what comes up there.
And they can be small things, they can be larger agreements.
Yeah.
But I think of it as like we're designing a relationship experience that we want to have. Like we're designing it how we want it between the two of us, and then we're following through with that, hopefully. Yeah. Some of the time, most of the time.
Yeah. And a lot of it is designing relationships by design. Even the way that we parent Jordan, we have a lot of conversations around how do we parent and who's in charge and what does it mean to be in charge, and yeah, so that's the first thing I want you to get is the power of agreements and really making sure you can make agreements and stick by them. And then the second one is the check-ins. I love that Kerena was checking in with us about how are you feeling a couple of times. And, you know, we were like, we're mad the first time. And she was okay with that. Like,
Yeah,
what happened in your mind when I said, I'm mad, and Jordan said, I'm mad?
I was like, okay, well, that's just the truth.
Yeah.
And it felt better for me to have it spoken than to have it simmered.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, let's just speak it and just name you guys are pissed off and I'm not. And then see where it goes.
Yeah. And did you want to fix us or change us? That was the impulse to make us not mad?
I mean, there was a bigger overarching, I want this to resolve at some point, but it didn't, in the moment, I didn't need it to be any different.
I didn't have the feeling that you were trying to make us not be mad right there
No,
at
I
all.
wasn't.
I wasn't.
I wasn't.
Like you weren't fixing.
Right.
Yeah. And so that's the other one I would point to in this scenario is, can you be okay with other people having emotions that are often uncomfortable? To have somebody be mad in the car with you for minutes on end, it's not often a comfortable thing.
I think there's also the piece of not having it be so personal. I mean, yes, it was personal to me, but in the big scheme of things, I wasn't taking it personally. And I knew that we would repair it at some point. It was like probably a 5, you know, or maybe it was a 3.5 on a scale of 10.
In terms of how intense or how worried you were?
Yeah, or how disruptive it was. It's like, you know.
Yeah, to you, it's like a 6 or a 7 over here. Okay, that feels good to me. Anything else that you want to say before we wrap up this episode of the Salties?
There was one thing, there was design. Give me just a second.
As she's thinking, I'll talk about the Enneagram overlay for a minute. So, Jordan, Enneagram overlay type 4, a lot of emotion, a lot of intensity, a lot of sense of loss. Mine, as the 7, plays out here with I'm not getting my way and I'm frustrated by that and I just don't even want to deal. So that was my initial impulse, was just like, all right, I'm not even going to talk with you about it.
I got it.
You got it?
Yeah. The importance of repair. The more that we can get in a system, whether it's a couple or a family system, it's like, oh, we can do repair. It like threads through, it makes it more okay for people to be pissed off and angry at each other because I know I can repair and we've been through a lot worse that's been repaired. So it strengthens the system. So knowing how to, or being in agreement with other people that we care about, that's something we want to have happen. Even if it's not happening in the moment, we can't shortcut it, we can't do it quickly, but that's the intention, creates for me a calmness in trusting that.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah, and that's a whole nother set of skills and agreements is around how do you repair relationships. So, you know, this would be, I would consider it's a break in relationship. I'm angry with you and we get distance, we're not feeling loving and connected. And so then how do we get back into loving, connected relationship is a relationship repair. We're repairing.
Into positive. And some couples can stay 2, 3, 4 days at, you know.
Yeah, let's not talk about, we'll do another Salties, we'll make sure. The next Salties we'll do on relationship repair and how do you do it and what are the agreements that you need to have around it.
Okay, thank you.
All right, good. Oh, and if you're on YouTube or Facebook, you can head over to touchedandtransformed.com, sign up for our newsletter or take our Enneagram test. And either way, you'll get these weekly. You'll get weekly videos. Some of the Salties, some are Enneagram based, some are relationship based. We got a lot of juice for you over at touchedandtransformed.com.